G'day and welcome to Heathcote Raceway, where today we'll be answering the question, how quick is the Ford Focus ST Automatic? We'll run 0 to 60 miles an hour, 0 to 100 Ks, a quarter mile and a 100 to 0 braking test. I'll also show you some of the tips and tricks we use to match or hopefully beat the manufacturer claims. Let's have a look at the specs and then go for a drive. So, under the bonnet we've got a 2.3 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder, producing 206 kilowatts and a healthy 420 newton metres. That's attached to a 7-speed torque converter automatic. We've got an electronically controlled limited slip front diff, and Ford claims 0 to 100 in 5.7 seconds. So let's see how we go. Okay, let's do it. We've got 5.7 seconds to match. So a quick word, we use the RaceLogic drift box to record all the numbers. Various screens show the various data we need to collect. I've got 3 drive modes: normal, sport and racetrack. So in this case I'm going to use racetrack. Now that not only sharpens the throttle, but it also gets a bit of weight in the steering, but also stiffens the suspension. And because this is front wheel drive, I don't want any weight transfer, because any weight transfer will pull weight off the front wheels, get more wheel spin, slow me down. So I want to try and keep the car as stable as possible. And apart from that, what we've got to do is try and find the grippiest bit of tarmac we can. So obviously we want a drag strip, and they have left some of the VHT down from their recent meet. So obviously if we can get on that, we'll have more traction. Apart from that, I'm going to turn ESP all the way off to begin with, and if I'm getting too much wheel spin, I'll then go into ESP Sport. So the deal with front wheel drives is we want to limit wheel spin as much as possible. That's pretty obvious, because every time the wheels are over rotating, we're going slower. So I'm going to stall it up a little bit, stall it up to maybe 2000 RPM or so, by holding the brakes really hard with my left foot and just feeding the throttle in until I get the RPM I want. Can't do that for very long because it's not very good for the transmission. And then just let it go and we'll see what happens. There we go, 2000 RPM. So I forgot to put it in manual mode, but that's actually probably not too bad. I've got a bit of torque steer there. 150, 160, 170 over the finish line. Okay. Not bad. So that was 5.7, 0 to 60, 5.9, 0 to 100, and 14.1 at 164.2 kilometers an hour. Bit over 2000 RPM and just feed it in. Grab second, there we go, it feels pretty good, the car's hooked up. Shift a bit earlier, use the torque. There we go, into fourth, 150, 160, 172 across the line. I think, felt all right. Let's have a look. 5.9 again, interesting. Quicker quarter mile though. So that felt a bit quicker because I revved it out more in first, but it wasn't. Powerful front wheel drives can be a bit of a nightmare to performance test. Not too bad as an auto, but manuals can be tricky. Obviously all the weight's coming off the front, you've got heaps of torque through just the front wheels. Easy to lose time in wheel spin. Really you want the front wheels rotating just slightly faster than road speed, so they're pulling you along, keeping the engine on boost. I think if you launch without any wheel spin at all, you're probably not really maximising how much power you can use. So we really just got to get that balance point right. How we going now? Felt pretty clean. Use the torque. Decent number across the line. Hey, I think we've got a success. Right, so this time 5.5 seconds to 60. 5.8 seconds to 100, and a 13.9 at 167.4. So that's an improvement. Only a tenth, but I'll take it. So as you can see, there's actually quite a difference between 0 to 60 miles an hour and 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. You might not think it's anything, it's 3 k's an hour, but that's 3/10. So keep that in mind when you're looking at acceleration claims, whether it's 0 to 60, 96.6 kilometers an hour, or 0 to 100. All right, see if we can find that extra tenth and match Ford's claim. Yes! Woo! We did it! Oh, that felt good. That felt good. So what do we got? 5.4 to 60, 5.7 to 100, and 13.8 over the quarter. Bam, I'll take that. Right, so having done a run, what we do on the way back is test overtaking acceleration from 80 to 120 k's an hour, and then do our 100 to 0 stop. So we just find a point, got to do the same point every time to make sure it's consistent. Get the car up to 60 kilometers an hour in drive, and floor the throttle, and just run it through, and then obviously you're doing 130 or so, let the speed bleed off, and then hit the brakes as hard as you can for 100 to 0. The key here is to make sure you do each run in the same point so you get a consistent result. So I'll just accelerate here up to 60 k's an hour. So it just takes the momentum out of the car then, and it also usually gets a slightly different result than actually just running through the gears, because it depends on the shift points and stuff like that. A bit of torque steering this thing. So there we go, we've gone through the gears now. Just let the speed bleed off. That's 130, 125, and then brake. Plenty of ABS. Let's have a look. So 80 to 120 was 3.5 seconds. Not too bad. And our braking was 36.9 meters. So we did it. We matched Ford's claim, which is always a really good feeling. So what was the eventual fastest way? So rather than actually stalling it up, it was more of a case of just loading the car slightly against the throttle and then letting it do the work, really. I think because it's got so much torque, actually loading the transmission up was just generating too much wheel spin. Whereas just letting the car go, hooked up nicely, grab second, off it goes. 5.7 seconds to 100 in a front wheel drive car is really, really quick. And for you overseas viewers, that's 5.4 seconds 0 to 60.